evening and welcome to it. This is Chess and Wine. My name is ADB La. Ooh, and I kind of feel like it's time that we have this important conversation regarding the MIYCC, the Mzansi Inter-Provincial Youth Chess Championships. It's a very brilliant idea, I should say. And I'm saying it's very brilliant because it's and obviously a national event that is inter-provincial, that involves senior players, not just juniors players. Because I know it has an under 23 section, it has an under 40 something section, and over 60 something. Like it has the age groups that actually covers that involves all chess players, an all-inclusive national chess event that could be an actual chess extravaganza in South Africa. And that is brilliant. And that's going to be hosted in Limpopo, and the head or the chief or the chairperson of the local organizing committee is Mr. Joe Mahomulo. We've seen him obviously presenting it to the nation at the Moja Extravaganza event that just recently took place. And we look forward to it happening. But we wonder again if it's really going to be all-inclusive, right? Because how do events like this become all-inclusive? It's an inter-provincial event, which means it'll be involvement in what do we call it? It'll be an event where players go to represent their provinces, meaning it'll be the provincial leadership that select the people that go, the players that go to play there and represent the province, which leaves a lot of questions and concerns. And one of them that actually comes now from me is, how are we going to trust that our provinces would actually be very transparent and very inclusive in their selections of the people that will represent the province if they failed to be inclusive in selecting the coaches and managers that were representing us in the provincial school, the national schools chess championships that currently took place? Because the inclusivity should have started from there, right? Like the openness should start from things like that. Because we have groups in our provinces where such things are meant to be discussed. Criteria for selecting managers. What do you need to do in order to be appointed or selected as a manager to go to the nationals with the team, as a coach to go with the team? When such things are not communicated, and then at a later stage you find out that there's certain people that have been selected, because the coaches are meant to obviously be people that are working with the players already, coaching them, but they're also meant to be some of the top, like the strong people with something to offer. Yes, because you can't just go there as a coach and then you're coaching under 15 players and all of the players know chess better than you. You're not there as the guidance, as a guide. You are there as a coach to coach them, to give them, to boost their confidence when they fail to play, when they play the game and they couldn't understand what happened, where they went wrong. You look at the game and you say, you sacrificed the bishop too early. You should have waited for this bishop, for this pawn to move, at least for the queen to move out. Like his pieces were too many and available to defend and things like that. As a coach, you work on the confidence of the player. You don't just pat them on the back like a manager and say, no, you'll be fine. Let's wait for the next game, because players do hurt. And I'm saying this because, again, there's a player that sort of, I'll keep on hinting on this. In Mpumalanga, there is a player that left chess, a junior player, because once at a national chess event, they had a coach that did not understand their game, that could not be of assistance at a national event. And this player was one of the top performing players in the under 18 sections of Mpumalanga. And they've been one of the top juniors in Mpumalanga for many years. But for that one time, because the coaches that were there could not assist them, they sort of lost their morale, like their reasons to continue, the motivation to continue performing in that national championships. After round 3, in a 9-round event, this player just stopped, decided that there's no reason why I should put an effort, because it doesn't mean anything. The coaches are not putting an effort because they don't have anything to offer. And this year's national championship, this player did not take part. did not take part in the regional selections and the provincial selection, even though we know that if this player took part, he was definitely going to be in the team. But it just decided it doesn't add any value. Because sometimes you go to national events hoping that it will help you improve. But it did not help this player improve because the coaches that were there, and some of those coaches were there again this year, did not know anything about chess. Or maybe they knew the basics, like they could play in the under 11 section and win. But some of those same coaches, if they could be put in the under 13 section, they would not win. Put in the under 15 section, they would not win. Put in the under 18 section, I tell you, all the coaches that were there would not win in the under 18 section. All the coaches that were playing. So now it's like having a marker for a grade 12 paper. And some of those markers are people that have not written their grade 12s. Sometimes it's better that they choose from teachers, right? They could have actually qualified, meaning they passed their grade 12s. But in terms of coaches, they choose people that have never even played a rated tournament. But it doesn't matter. You're my friend. It's a friend's thing. So now again, the MYCC event, the MyCC thingy. It's kind of raising such questions like, are we going to have such issues now where people need to actually stay close to the executive committees if they want opportunities to go participate and represent their province? Do I need to be friends, rekindle my friendships with my provincial executive, and be like, hey, Manulek, my friend, you remember we used to be close. Let's be close again. Hey, Mposi, come on, you're my brother. Hey, Palat, come on, brother man. You know I'm a player. Do I need to like constantly be in conversation with them in order to get an opportunity? Or do they have to report the transparency to the National Federation to ensure that everybody is included? Because that's number one, very serious question. Who will represent? Because it's not like there are no players. Because the funny thing is that we have still not been talking about this thing in the province. Or maybe they do talk about it in the private groups. So that's one question. And the other questions that have come to me, let me just read them to you so you could also acquaint yourself with them. Regarding the juniors. Because my question, again, I'd want to know, like, what is it? I see that the improvement, number one, from the SHACC is that it's very much inclusive, this event. And that's a very big thing. That's a very big improvement for me. And if I was speaking to Mr. Mahumula, since I was actually hoping to have an interview with him, I would ask him to actually outline all the other improvements, right? Another question, other people have asked the following. Do you know what the junior close qualifications criteria will be? Yeah. Yeah. What will be the criteria now for qualifying for the top, for the junior closed after qualifying in this, after playing in this event, right? So obviously there's 10 times the Grand Prix players, there's 10 times the top 10, and then 10 times the top 10 in Mzansi, right? Is that what, that's what it says? Are there other qualifying criteria that is criteria that are known to us? Apparently, there's 2 from the National Schools Sports Championship players that also qualify for the Grand Prix. They used to be the wildcard event as well as part of a qualification. And the wildcards were selected in the South African Junior Closed, right? And another question that was asked was the payment per team. When a player withdraws, will the rest of the team be liable for the full amount? Because the circular said you don't have to take 10 players, but then costs are high for the rest of the team if you don't take 10 players. So that's another question that is asked. And that's from the responses from Mr. Mahomula received were as follows. So Mr. Mahomula says that for now, I can answer in this way. As things stand, it looks like it may mean that, only the players playing in the championship section will be invited. So remember that the top 10 from Mzansi, because apparently the qualification policy has kind of been adjusted. So the top 10 qualifying players, now 10 will be chosen from the Mzansi Inter-Provincial Youth Chess Championship for the closed. So the 10 that will be selected are basically going to be the 10 that are playing in the championship section. That is what Mr. Mahomula is saying. Because there'll be different sections, right? And yeah, so Mr. Mahomula says only the players playing in the championship section will be invited, or more players, not just the 10, will be invited. The selection committee plus the youth commission may decide to invite 60 players per age group, under 8 to under 20. And the category, an open plus girls, to cover all sections. But I can assure you and the chess community that the LOC plus the selection committee plus the youth commission will put heads together soonest and find working solutions for every player. The solution of which will be communicated in the next tournament circular. Because remember that they are going to be issuing updated circulars every now and then, right? That will cover all concerns from parents and things and everyone. So now when they say they're going to select 60 people, it raises a question. Because you remember, if you have memory, if you don't have good memory, then you can just go back to the interview with the Vice President, Mr. Lindokuhle Ngubane, who was also the former president of KZN Chess, where he said that they wanted to propose, or he feels that the SHACC is not the one thing that needed to improve from the South African Junior Close Championship, is the fact that the SHACC, it's a national event that is open to everyone, which according to him is not, and I agreed with him, which doesn't make sense. Because you can't have a national event open to everyone, which is a national qualifying event, because it should be opened to the top performing players in the province. Because it's like everyone from the region. Because remember the SHACC maybe again it's like that because there was an absence of an event that was national that was open to everyone. So it was kind of taking all of those roles, which would be fine in that case. But when you want to have a prestigious event, you want people to qualify for it, right? When you have a qualifying event, not only those who can afford, because the issue now, number one, was that the SHACC was mainly for only those who can afford. Because the strong ones will go to the championship section, the first top 10. And then the ones who can afford will be in the B team, and the others in the C team and D team. And if everyone in your region can afford to pay for the SHACC, everyone in your region can go and be part of the SHACC, South African Junior Closed Chess Championship, South African Juniors Chess Championships. And then that counts as it earns you colors. Just because you can afford to pay, colors should not be something that you pay for. It's something that you earn through money. But that was the SHACC. And it seems like the Mzansi thing is also going to be in the same way. I don't see a difference in that sense. Because if they wanted it to be different, because now I'm thinking that person is involved, Ngubane is involved, right? And his ideas as one of the vice presidents are also kind of taken seriously. And if to make an improvement from the SHACC again, this is one thing that needs to be fixed. And this is an interprovincial. And you can't call it an interprovincial when you are choosing any region can send anyone that can afford. And then they make up the province. And they just now, instead of representing their region, they just come in and represent their province. Because it's just a different framing of things. It's still the same thing. I don't know if you understand what I mean. And there's such situations where actually I'm only talking to the members of the chess community that have been involved. Because again, I know that my speech might also raise some questions to people that don't understand how things happen. Because the South African Junior Close Chess Championships was regions that were taking part in a national event. So each region would select players based on their performances from previous tournaments. They would have a first team. And regions without money, or some of them even had money, they just didn't care, where they would choose the top 10 and invite them and say that you need to pay 4,000 rands in order for you to participate in the SHACC, South African Junior Chess Championships. And players would want to participate in the South African Junior Chess Championships because participating in the Junior Chess Championships would earn you a possible chance of participating in the closed, the South African Junior Closed Chess Championship, where they select now players that will represent the country in international event and them national colors. So now, even if you had qualified for the junior closed through the Grand Prix, having earned from your top rating and the points that you've earned from the tournaments that you've participated in your region, you would also be required to play the Junior Chess Championships, where obviously your performance would not matter, but you would need to be there. Which doesn't make sense, and it kind of makes it seem like it was just for fundraising. They want people to actually have a reason to play there, because now when they say this is a qualifying event, you know you have to pay to play. You know you have to participate in it. And then parents would actually sacrifice monies. I would say resources, but we know it's money mostly, to ensure that their kids pay and they participate so that they could earn the opportunity to play in the closed, because playing in the closed would mean they earn a slot in the team that becomes the Commonwealth team, because that's where they choose a lot of players. Like, you need just to make it in the top 10, or to play in the junior championship, African junior championships, African youth championships, world junior championships, world youth chess championships, and things like that. So that is why now the SHAs, the South African junior championships was very important. The African junior chess championships. But it was only a region, it was regions. But now the changes is that now it's provinces. But then now today, provinces need to have selection events to select the people that are going to be participating. Or they'll just make a call to the regions to say, give us a list of your players that you feel need to go forward to the nationals in Mzansi International and Mzansi Inter-Regions or Mzansi Inter-Provincials. Or will they say, send them for the provincial selection so the provinces can select? I think that's something that also needs to be clarified, right? Or they'll get to a point where they say, hey, we need all the money we can get, because Chess South Africa is also trying to raise funds, and such events are fundraising events. They'll say, bring everybody. They'll only just play under the province, but bring anyone that can afford to pay, please. Because we need the money. Is that what's going to happen? Now, what makes a difference in that sense from the SHACC? See what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know if it's a money-making scheme only. It's just kind of the questions that were raised. But then, yeah. So, yeah, here's another question that is asked. I just can't tell where it comes from. But it says, this situation feels a little like deja vu. It feels a little deja vu. It is as though somewhere in our past we had a previous group of leaders who we fought against for having national tournaments at short notice, whereby traveling players are forced to stay at an official accommodation, applying adjusted selection policy to accommodate the event format. Little time for fundraising by provinces or regions to ensure that all deserving players can participate regardless of their financial means. Just now, we have a very poorly prepared MIYCC tournament document with unclear participation requirements that provinces need to decipher and determine selections policy, possibly without even having trials. Quoted accommodation rates on documents are tentative. When do they become final? Presumably, provinces or regions were not consulted in the formation of this new national tournament or impact of selection policies. Pause. Very concerning. But obviously, would want to know if regions were, because the thing is, and I think, and this is my opinion, that the Moja extravaganza is in a situation that it is in right now because the organizers lack relationships with the regions and the provinces in the country, especially the regions. Because the Moja Extravaganza is meant to be the biggest national event, even bigger than the SHACC. It's already bigger than the SA Open. So it should be bigger than even the Mzansi Youth. But the problem now is the marketing of it. Because the Moja Chess Extravaganza needs to have a PR or a marketing person that is responsible for a brand ambassador, if you will, for creating relationships with all the regions in the country, and then clubs and club leaders. Registration should not be individual. Even though individual registrations should be open for the Moja Extravaganza, they should be mainly through the regions, because that way Oh, the Mojo Extravaganza would be unstoppable. But I mean, these are things that people need to think about. If the Mojo Extravaganza had involvement, had a representative, a person, government, maybe it's because it's government money and they're just treating it like, if this was private investors' money, hey, maybe sometimes this privatization of shares things is very important, because I tell you, I'm going to have to mention Hendrik again, because this person's business ethics in terms of running of things is smart. If Mojo Extravaganza involved Hendrik Dutoit, I'm saying this because I'm sure these things would be happening. Because that person understands business in chess. You see now. And the Mojo seems like it doesn't. If the Mojo Extravaganza had a relationship with every region, chess region in South Africa, and they start discussing things earlier and the registration, and then the regions, they open up selections and open up, yeah, you know what I mean? The returns for that event would be, the tournament would get its returns, because now they spend over 200,000 rands and still don't get even 100,000 rands in entries. But again, it's money from sponsors, but not always. I don't know. So again, it's very concerning that there's a chance, there's a possibility, it's been questioned, that the formation of the Mzansi Inter-Provincial Youth Chess Championship was formed without including the regions. And now the regions have to be communicated to and taught about the event instead of having them being part of it. Then the sense of ownership is lost there. You see what I mean? And regions need to own this thing, especially since it's a public thing, unlike the Mojo Extravaganza thing. This is a Chessa thing. And regions and provinces make up Chessa. The provincial leaders who were part of this communication should have involved their regions. But hey, our leaders, it doesn't take any qualifications to get to their positions. And maybe that's why sometimes. So that's why when somebody says, presumably provinces and regions were not consulted in the formation of this new national tournament or impact of the selection policies, it's concerning, because regions need to actually know and understand these things, so that, because they communicate these things to players and clubs. So they definitely need to be involved. So it continues. 2 weeks later, we, the paying parents, are still none the wiser. And RSVP and payment deadline is October 15, 2024. That's like 15 days from now, or less. And there is just over 10 weeks to go to the opening moves. Not clear if the top 10 rated GPX, the Grand Prix players, will be required to play as in the past, and how this will impact the top 10 wildcard selections. Using this event as a selection trials for the SA Junior Closed Chess Championships, where participation is not open to all in the top selection, adverse impact of final 2 rounds pairings, as well as unknown impact of participation of already qualified players in the same section is horrific and does not serve the interest of the players or integrity of the South African Junior Closed Chess Championships. Many deserving players will suffer as a result. Was the second circular published and distributed on 30 September 2024 as promised? It's a question. Then another one comes and says, you cannot be organizing a selection tournament before the selection policy has been finalized and published for comment and approved by the National Council. This is poor governance on so many levels, and it is far worse than a fairly well thought out policy based on past experience that did not get approved by the National Council. The enthusiasm of the new Chess South Africa Exco to host a national tournament must be commended, but this is problematic when it is clearly not properly thought out. They failed to consult with their provinces and regions, who are the ones left to administer and coordinate at a very short notice without any terms of reference. It would have been far more appropriate to sort out policies and then host this event in 2025, giving administrators, parents, and players a clear path to a successful and adequate time to raise funds. Oh, a path to success and adequate time to raise funds. Wow. And there's another one that says the Inter-Provincial is not the same as the SHACC. I think this is a response. The SHACC, South African Junior Chess Championship, is an event where all regions from across the country participate. Regions select and send their teams, and usually as many as they can field. The Inter-Provincial, the provinces may send a select number of teams selected from all their member regions. Players can only play if selected by their province, which goes back to my concern. Players can only play if selected by their province. We won't get selected. We know some of us talk too much. We won't get selected. So yeah, so someone now also is concerned, and they're saying this event can also not be used based on the youth policy criteria that a player must participate in the South African Junior Closed Chess Championship, SHACC, to participate in the South African Junior Closed Chess Championship. Players in regions cannot enter freely and may be on the Grand Prix list, but might not be selected by their province to participate in the Inter-Provincial, which is not out of the player's control. So now, because certain players would not be in control of how they are selected or what the selection criteria is, so there might be players that are in the Grand Prix list as selected as to play in the closed, that might not play if there is obviously the clause stipulates that players must play in the Mzansi Inter-Provincial Youth Chess Championships, because some of them might not be selected. And if they don't play in the Mzansi Inter-Provincial Youth Championship, does that mean now they can't play the closed? Because the closed is a very special event, it's a very important event. But then again, for the organizers, they would want to give you an incentive to everybody to want to participate. But then it's a negative incentive that if you don't, then you don't get to participate in the closed. Because they also want to raise funds, because Chess South Africa has no money. And Chess South Africa wants money. Yes, he loves you, but it wants money. Yes, so it loves you. The Chess South Africa loves you, but it wants money. And then obviously that want for money, they would want to say, if you don't participate in the Mzansi Inter-Provincial Youth Chess Championship, do not expect to be included in our very special South African Junior Closed Chess Championship. Now let's see who you're not going to take seriously. It's possible. But then again, it's money now in the way between us. So there's players that might not qualify because they don't have money. Or because they don't have access to resources, because we know sports is not like chess is not that very much sponsored, even though we've got lovely people that sometimes sponsors chess events in many different ways. So yeah, anyways, like my hope was to have Mr. Mahumula here with us to discuss such things and obviously maybe clarify, but let's wait for the second circular to come out, and then we can have an interview with somebody that's willing to come forward, and hoping that the conditions here in chess and wine improve in a way that we could be able to have interviews without any glitches and be able to hear and understand everything and see the person we're talking to, just like you can see me now. Look at me now. Ooh. This has been Chess and Wine. Good evening.